Hi, this is Stacy Smith. Today we're going to be working with Google Drive. The first thing I want to go over with you is just the New button. When you're using the New button, you have a variety of options here, from creating new folders, file uploading, folder uploading, Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, and more. Forms and drawings are also considered part of the Google Apps for Education suite. Others that you see listed here are sometimes extensions or Chrome apps that you've added into to work with Drive. Most of you will probably be creating here. So as we work towards using Google Drive more, we do want you to think about using this Google Drive for storage instead of saving on your normal Z drive that your teacher files are stored on. So you can always do that by clicking on the New and then going to File, Upload. From here it's going to ask you where are the files that you want to locate and add, and you can locate them on your computer like it normally pops up. You can upload these files and keep them here in Google Drive for storage. Each user has 5 gigs of storage with Google Apps for Education. I have many things stored in my drive and I'm only at 41 megabytes. It tells you in the bottom left how much you've used. If you ever feel like you're getting close to that, you can always go through and resort, weed out things you don't use anymore. And I find that most of the things that I use again and again, I usually modify the same document rather than creating a new one anyway. So if you're uploading things that you have stored as hard files, you can use Google Drive as a storage. As you upload items and want to bring them in, if they're in the Microsoft suite of programs like a PowerPoint or a Word file, you do want to think about how you want them to upload. You can use this button on the far right, which is your settings. By clicking on settings, you can decide if you'd like to convert everything that you're adding here, like PowerPoints and Word, to the Google Docs editor format here. And I do this with all my files so I can go ahead and edit them and work with them in Google, and I don't have to go back out and use them again in Word. But you may select to keep that off so that you determine each time you upload. When you put a Word file on, it'll stay a Word file, and then while you're in that document, you click File and you can open it, and then in the Google Docs editor. So you can decide that later. I have clicked it just because I want everything to go ahead and convert over to this format. Keep in mind that everything that you're doing with Word files or PowerPoint files will not always come over as pretty as they were in those programs. Microsoft is an expensive program. Google is a free program. So it'll take it down to some basics. If you're someone who uses tables a lot, which I do, you might have to reformat your tables. In Google Drive, often I pull up and use tables and documents, and like this one here, I have 2 columns in this document of information, and I can actually hide the lines, so I can put things where I want them on the page and then hide the lines of this this table. Anytime you want to work with that, if you're working in tables, if you click in the table and go down to table properties, this is where all this happens. Here's the table border, which now shows up as a black line. You can make it white and you will not see where any of those lines are. So you won't see that it's wrapped around the edges in a table, so you can put things where you want them. Otherwise, the basic look of the document may not be how you want it, so you have to determine if you want those lines to show up or not. And some people like to have things fancy and want to have those lines hidden, and that's fine. You can do that, and that will help you a little bit. So if you do use tables in Word, you do have the same. That's how I kind of get through with the columns idea of having 2 columns on one page in a document. So it's something for you to think about, and making these this table instead, and then making those lines invisible. Something for you to consider. I'm going to go back up to the New button. We talked about uploading files. You can also upload a whole folder. If you have folders where your hard files are stored, you can upload the whole folder at a time. It's okay to do that. Folder upload, and you find the folder that's on a desktop item, or if it's in Files Deeper within your computer, and you can upload a whole folder at once, and that will come into your drive for storage as well. Once you've removed these off of your hard drive or the shared server, the Z drive, you probably want to delete those items. Right now, the teacher storage in the Z drive is very, very full, and it is a good idea to go ahead and back those up, put those in your Google Drive, and then you can delete those files out of the server. Going back to the new button again, if you create a doc, you start a doc from the beginning. It's just an open document here. You have the basic toolbar that runs across the top. You can put a title in, or you can type, and when you start typing here, and if you go up to tap on Untitled Document, the title that you just typed, title, will come into this spot for you. First thing you type when you click on that area, if you don't want to type it twice. Something easy and quick to remember. Then you can use these basic tools just like you would in any word processing software. Tables, like I said, I use often. I insert tables all the time just to sort information and sort my topics and what I'm typing. If you're creating kind of a worksheet or a workable document for students that you want them to type in, I sometimes try to give them options and put that information in a table. One example of that one comes through here. In this class, I gave the students a document. It was created in a table, and so they could answer the questions that go with each. This one happened to be about cyberbullying. I typed this information into this box, and then I provided them with a link to what's called a blend space. And that blend space is just a set of bookmarks that go together on a certain topic. And then they type their answers down below. So the student work stays a little bit organized. If you're working with really any age group of kids, you can see where their answers are, and you can kind of use that to kind of sort their information. So using tables is sometimes very helpful for students when you're setting up what seems to be like a digital worksheet or digital activity that they're working on rather than in paper. If you leave it wide open like this one, sometimes they have answers all scattered everywhere. You have to just teach them how you want them to format their work. So going back to my drive, we have started from scratch with the document. As you go into Google Sheets and Slides, we can go through individual how-tos on each of those. Today is just mostly about getting your drive kind of sorted, organized, and ready for you to work in the classroom. One thing to the left of where it says My Drive, there's a small arrow. If you click on it, it will drop down and open up all the folders in your drive. This is just a quick way to view things, and it's also a nice way if I want to if I want to move something from one place to the next. So if I want to click here and want to move this over, I can drag and drop it, pick it up and put it in the right folder. It's up to you if you want to do that. If this is closed, you won't see those folders, so it's helpful to drop that down if you're going to drag and drop something. Other times I'll click here and then drop down the 3 dots in a vertical row, and then go ahead and say Move To, and I can decide which folder I want to move this item to. From here, I click the Move button and it will go from there. Another option is if you want to have this file or document in more than one place. Now the Shift Z button allows you to add it to a folder, and you can add it to more than one folder. So if you have several things that you're thinking, I really want to keep it in this folder and I also need it in another, you can press Shift and Z and then decide which folder to move it to and add it there. By adding it, it means it did not take my original away from here. It is now moved into one of our folders, but it didn't leave my list. So that's up to you how you want to move it or if you want to add it. Adding means that you're going to put it in more than one place. Moving means you are going to physically move it out of and put it somewhere else. I'll show you the move option as well. But now I want to move that file. I go ahead and click here and move it. And it moves over and leaves my drive list that comes down the page here. And it's into the folder that I specified for it. And this is where that file landed. You can drag and drop, or you can use the options at the top here for more actions. This vertical 3 dots again. That's up to you of how you want to move files from folder to folder. I would suggest that you kind of create your folders in some kind of structure that allows you to figure out where you want things to go. A lot of people are sharing items, which is perfect, and that's what the Google Cloud collaboration environment is all about, is sharing things, especially things that you have created and you want to share with someone else and allow them to use a version of it on their own. Any of the things that are in your Share With Me folder, you can move those over to Drive. They'll stay here and they'll just move down, and usually by share date, they'll be sorted by date in this column. On the far right, it will show you where I've moved these items, if I've moved it somewhere. So you can see down here, if it's in like a light gray, it'll show you if you hover over which folder I've moved those items to for having it. But again, the share dates, these items will stay in your Share With Me. If it's something that you need more than once, I would go ahead and move it to your Drive. So let's say if I want to move this folder, known as images, if I want to move this into my Drive, you might see a Drive logo. If you're on a Chromebook, it looks like a folder with a Drive sign in it. Drive meaning this triangle with a folder, like a little gray folder that may be up here in your toolbar. On a Chromebook, that usually is what it shows up. I'm on a desktop now, so when I click on this button, it gives me that same option. I'm going to move it to one of my folders. Again, if you want to, Shift Z, you can actually add it somewhere. Click on the item, Shift Z, and you can add it. It will stay, and you can add it. So you can have it in more than one place. But typically, if I want to use something over and over again, I'll go ahead and move it to the right place and where I want it to be in my Drive, so I can have access to that later. I have already moved this one into the IT staff folder, so it is already there for me. So that's taking something from my Share With Me folder and then moving it into my Drive.